Hello everyone, my name is Matt Heininger. I'm a BCBA and Regional Director here at Butterfly FX, and today we're going to be reviewing how to identify opportunities for incidental teaching. The purpose of this lesson is to refine the BCBA skill in identifying teachable moments, maximizing learning opportunities, and effectively expanding language repertoires. So a distinctive feature and hallmark of incidental teaching is that all interactions are initiated by the child. So what remains central in incidental teaching and any naturalistic arrangements that are conducive for language is you need to salt the environment. And that is a coined term that is used across numerous textbooks in ABA. And that is taking out all preferred items and activities and placing them in visual sight of the learner. Now, we want to have them in visual sight to accentuate those reinforcing properties. But we want to restrict access. We don't want them to directly being able to take it themselves because that's where all of your prompt methodology comes in and that's where your teachable moments lie. So you do want to restrict access, keep them in sight but out of reach. So you may be asking yourself what items. Now it's not all and everything that exists within the child in the family home. You do want to make sure that some of these items and most of them are tested via a preference assessment. Any observational data to refer to is going to be incredibly beneficial to establish a hierarchy and then to predict where your learning opportunities will be as you place these items and activities throughout the target area within the home or any setting that you're working in. So once you do that, you obviously have two avenues of opportunities. You can capture naturalistic opportunities or you can contrive situations, and we'll be reviewing over that now. So with capturing opportunities, you just let the gestural behavior lead the way. The child can gravitate towards a preferred activity. It could be any sustained eye contact towards an item that they're eyeing in the corner. Any gestural behavior that's functional could obviously reflect their motivating operation and establishing the value of them wanting that item, in which case you would then obviously just prompt before they can play with it. And the four-stepped prompt steps for incidental teaching is obviously a time delay prompt. If that doesn't work, followed by a what do you want, scaling up to what is this if need be, and lastly finishing off with a direct verbal prompt if your learner does not emit the responses in the previous and lesser intrusive prompt steps. And that's pretty cut and dry and easy. Just let the gestural behavior lead the way when capturing naturalistic opportunities. But really the optimal opportunities and really maximizing all you can get out of naturalistic arrangements and incidental teaching is contriving opportunities. Now, that's a little bit of a misconception in this field, is we think that incidental teaching is purely naturalistic. You can contrive situations here and there because once again, we want to expand across a litany of language repertoires, across mands, tax, intraverbals, and some of our children have more narrower repertoires of recreational activities or engage in perseverative play-based behaviors, whether it's functional or non-functional. And that can pigeonhole you and kind of stifle the learning opportunities if they're consuming one item for longer periods of time. So you can obviously prompt them away when the time comes to engage in other activities, even if it's for a brief period of time. They can come back to the original toy, and if so, that's fine. You can prompt other sets of responses, such as carrier phrases like, can I have it back? Or just repeating the original trial that you did in order for the client to obtain the item, which could be, a one-word mand or anything like that, like a ball. So that's one way. But then another way is obviously manding for missing pieces. There are some individuals or clients that you may have that like more task completion based activities such as puzzles or coloring. So you can always take and restrict each piece or color and contingent on mands that you would prompt through your prompt methodology, then reinforce those mands and responses. And then also when the child is directed towards and orienting their focus in engaging with one item, other items in the environment you can then take and replace in other areas. So let's run with an example. Let's say the child was playing with their ball, you redirected them away from the ball, and they're now playing with their Transformers toy. You can take the ball that was on the floor and place it on top of the table. So when either naturally the client wants to then go back to playing with the ball, or if you prompt them to play with the ball again, you now have a brand new set of responses that you can use, particularly targeting prepositions. It's on top of the table. You can also contrive a "where's the ball" through your prompt methodology. Your items in the environment should be on a continuum. They shouldn't be fixed in one particular place. If you are looking at contriving opportunities, you can take that ball and put it on top of the table. You can take that long red block that they want and maybe put it behind you. Those are really useful and creative ways of being able to target prepositions or any WH questions, such as "where's my block?" And speaking of WH questions, once you have your child and you prompt them to man for a particular item, you can rotate in WH questions as well to further maximize opportunities. And what that would look like is if the child wants the ball, you prompt them to say ball, whether it's a time delay prompt or a most intrusive prompt of a direct verbal. And then you could say, "What color is it?" And they say, "Red ball." With the ball that was on the table, they say ball. You could say, "Where was ball?" You can prompt on top. So your who, what, where, and whens could be really useful to rotate in as you target across function, feature, and class of that particular item. The only real prerequisite skill that you need to be mindful of in that regard is, once again, the child interrupting a preferred activity and attending to speaker. And then looking at your compliance levels as well. Once again, immediacy is the foundational characteristic of reinforcement. And as you prompt higher response requirements through those WH questions, you inherently are delaying the immediacy of reinforcement. So you just need to be mindful of compliance levels or any rate of problem behaviors that may occur, access-based, of course. But if that all checks out, those are other really good opportunities to contrive situations and get the most out of your incidental teaching and the naturalistic arrangements that you've set up. I know that was a lot, but naturalistic environment training and incidental teaching could be incredibly beneficial. It is a strategy and a tactic that I use all of the time with all of my clients. I hope that you learned and found this video to be beneficial. Thank you very much for the time, and take care.